Welcome to Questions and Answers. You're here in the factory in Fresno, California with Field Van. I'm Jonny Feld. We have Brian Furrow.
How's it going?
Brian's our sales manager, and Brian's been with us for almost 10 years now?
Yeah, approaching 10 years pretty quick. This February.
Man, that's crazy. 10 years
up.
in February.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Went by quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems yesterday I started, right? I mean,
yeah. So Brian has always been big into the outdoors. He grew up here in the Fresno area. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that, growing up, the outdoors, some of the stuff you like to do?
Yeah, so I was born and raised here in Fresno, and it's funny because Fresno gets a little bit of a bad rap sometimes, but I actually feel fortunate. We're in an outdoor hub here. My dad actually owned a whitewater rafting company when we were little called Kings River Expeditions. When I was 6 or 7, he sold the company, but that was a family sport for us. So we would do whitewater rafting every summer. I mean, every weekend we're up there. And, from Fresno, I'll back up. I had 4 brothers, so five boys in the family, very competitive, very outdoorsy. From here in Fresno, you can pretty much do any outdoor activity you can think of as a day trip. I mean, there's nothing you can't do. We're an hour from the Sierras. We're 2 hours from the coast. It's been amazing in that respect. Yeah.
Fishing, mountain biking, hiking, skiing,
Absolutely.
Snowboarding, surfing, like you said.
Yeah. Same day even.
It is.
We have buddies that'll, surf in the morning and head up and ski in the afternoon.
Same day.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so Kings River Expeditions, back when we were Sportsmobile, we actually did, I think it was before we met, we had an event where we took the employees and we did the Kings River.
Yeah.
And it's pretty gnarly.
Oh, it's a blast. Yeah. It's a really fun river, 10-mile stretch.
Yeah, it's whitewater.
Yeah, whitewater rafting.
It is. It's legit.
Yeah. And being I had those, with those brothers being super competitive, we were pushing the limit when we were kids all the time. So I got really into riverboarding too on that river. So we'd take boogie boards and a helmet and fins and go down the same run we'd go with the rafts. First as like a 14-year-old following my dad in the boat, right? And then me and my brothers got really into it. We didn't miss a peak of the river high water for like almost 8 or 9 years straight.
And that water's cold. I mean, this is just all the snow runoff coming from the high Sierras.
Yeah, we joke about that, but the water we're rafting or boarding down was essentially snow like 10 to 12 hours before typically. So yeah, 4-3 wetsuits, gloves, the whole deal. But super fun. I mean, just really fun to be fortunate to have that in our backyard, be able to go up and do that whenever we want. It's awesome. Yeah,
and then you were into fishing and hiking, and then
it goes with the territory. Fishing, hiking, backpacking. My dad was a real outdoorsman, got all of us into that.
Rollerblading.
So we used to play a lot of street hockey when I was a kid because I grew up in a neighborhood with probably 15 kids, and so we basically had our own 2 street hockey teams and had a lot of fun, and then got good at that and decided it'd be really fun. So on the way up to the Sierras here, there's a famous stretch of road we call the 4-lane. It's the 4-lane highway.
Yeah, the 168.
Yeah, 168 highway, but it drops like 3,000 vertical feet in just a couple miles, so it's a fairly steep grade. And we, at the time, I think I was 18 or 19 and really dumb, and we decided it'd be really good to take our rollerblades and go down that highway. So we had to we figured this out. It was this whole process, but we'd take elbow and knee pads and duct tape them to our clothing. So if you fell, they couldn't just slide right off because otherwise they would.
Oh yeah.
Because you're going, 45, 50 miles an hour. And we had a support car. We thought we were really smart. We went in October, so it's after summer, not quite ski season, right? So there's not as many cars on the highway. And we had a support car follow us down, so if somebody came up behind us, they wouldn't hit us. And so the support car would help us out if somebody took a fall or something. But you couldn't stop. You had to follow the stop. Once you were going, it was a 20-minute ride of just full on, as fast as you can go down the hill. Yeah. Really stupid. My wife's don't tell your kids you did that. That's not the thing
anyone
to do.
watching at home, we do not condone rollerblading the 4-lane.
Yeah, not as I'm pretty sure it's illegal because it's a highway. But anyway,
100%.
We did a lot of fun, stupid things like that in the mountains as kids. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and so I met Brian. He got a job at a local sporting goods. It was Copeland Sports, and you don't have cool sporting goods stores like that anymore because it was high-end specialty. I mean, they had everything from the nice golf clubs to a crazy board shop If you're
Yeah.
hearing a bell in the background, it's lunchtime here at Field Man. I'm kind of getting hungry.
Put your order in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, a little in and out. But yeah, so I meet Brian at Copeland's, and my cousin, also named Brian,
Yeah.
nicknamed Couch.
Great name.
Yeah, great name. BJG, little
Yeah.
shout out. He was a manager at Copeland's. You guys were co-managers, right?
Yeah, so me and his cousin were managing what we called the board shop or the boardroom at Copeland's. It was kind of funny because we were young then and we were really into the outdoors again, right? But we kind of took it over and like we created we weren't supposed to do this. This is a corporate company, very strict rules, right? We went ahead and just created a skateboard team with the local guys that we knew, and we'd flow them product we'd be getting from reps or under the table. And we really were into the sports and snowboarding, you know? And so that store, we took it from being one of the worst performing stores out of a 56 store chain to #1 in like 2 years. And so
it was an awesome store. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where I went for everything. If I was getting a baseball glove, if I needed, and it was high-end skis and
Yeah.
high-end boards. I mean, your skate shop. I mean, it was
Yeah.
legit. It wasn't like going to, you know, like a Sports Authority. They're not in business. I can talk about them.
Yeah.
Sports Authority. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to or Big Five, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of they had. This was high-end, but they had everything. It was like this
Yeah.
superstore. I miss Copeland's.
I know. We don't have that in town anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really developed into that too. I remember getting a call from the corporate buyer like, I heard you guys have a skate team. I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, you know, you're not supposed to do that, right? I'm like, yeah, but your sales were #1 in the company, so I want to see if you can do that in a couple other stores. I'm like, all right, yeah. So, yeah, then I actually went on to become a rep for the entire company for winter sports, and Brian, your cousin, went on to work in the corporate office from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a good like stepping stone, and learned a lot about business and sales. And
Well, they obviously and management too. And you guys, what was apparent every time you would go in there, the employees were happy to be there. They were happy to help you. You know, my parents always shopped there. Well, and you guys had like nicknames for, right? Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Yeah,
Like
so
just the culture around the shop was fun.
yeah, so your cousin especially was a huge jokester, and so he would write the schedule, and he would make nicknames for each employee each week, and he would change your nickname, and you had to figure out what your nickname was in order to know what your schedule was, which is full by human resource standards, totally illegal today, I'm sure, but we had a blast doing it. Everyone loved it. Really good culture there. So
Different times back then.
Yeah, there was one particular. So your roommate, a gentleman, his
Yeah.
name was Greg White, worked for us there, and somehow his nickname evolved into, we used to call him Chip Chisholm. I don't know how
Chip
it's
Chisholm. Yeah,
like
it just has a ring to it.
evolve in nicknames.
But
And so,
in fact, Greg worked when we were Sports Mill West. He was a sales guy here for years.
yeah,
And now he coaches volleyball, does some stuff. But anyway, Chip Chisholm worked there and was my roommate. And my mom goes into Copeland's to do some shopping, and she ran into you, right?
yeah, she runs into me, and we started having a conversation. Oh, Johnny's doing great. And I'm like, how's Greg doing? Because I know they're roommates at the time, and she knows Greg. She's like, Greg, who's that? I'm like, Greg White, roommates with Johnny. She's like, I don't know any Gregs. He lives with Chip Chisholm. So she didn't even know his real name. That's how much these nicknames would stick from working there. It was awesome. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Chip Chisholm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did a good job with that store. And then, so Copeland's ended up getting bought by Sports Authority.
They did, yeah. They
right?
were a privately owned company, big chain for being privately owned, but they sold out. The gentleman owned it, retired. Yeah, and they became Sports Authority, which was not nearly as good.
No, unfortunately, yeah, it was still the big box store feel, but they didn't have any of the specialty equipment that we came to love about going in the Copeland's,
Yeah.
and the board shop and everything.
Yeah.
But then, fortunately, we had another awesome shop here in town called Herb Bauer, and long time sporting goods store. And then Brian started working for them. I think you just got a job there so you could get like Proform discounts on your gear.
Yeah, initially, yeah, because I was in college and doing other things, and then I went over there for a while, and we kind of took what Copeland's was and brought it over there. So created a bigger board shop, skateboard, added skate as a category, expanded them quite a bit, and that shop was one of the top in California. It's funny because it's in Fresno. You wouldn't think of Fresno having a great ski shop, but we had one of the biggest selections in all of California.
It was awesome.
Huge shop, really knowledgeable people, really passionate people. A lot of fun working there. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, I ski, and I really enjoy it, and I like, how many, Brian snowboards.
Yeah.
How many different boards do you have?
I have 7 boards right now. My wife teases me a lot, but yeah,
7.
you got to have a quiver of boards, right? I mean,
yeah. And would you take more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I could sneak them in without my wife knowing I bought them, I'd own at least 2 more for sure.
And back then I couldn't even afford a set of nice skis with bindings, let alone like have your powder set and your all mountain and then your park and you need all your different skis. So depending on the day, I was able to go into her bower and they had a full demo. And it was like, I don't know.
Yeah. That place was
a lot of times I had the bro deal, but if not, it was like $50. And you could rent for the day the most top-of-the-line equipment. And so I was like, why ever buy anything? You know, I'm going maybe 10, 15 times a year.
If you rode with an employee, they could borrow a demo for free, right? Yeah,
exactly. So, it was such a great place to go, like, try all the equipment and get to know all the different brands and, like, what worked for you. And that was a killer shop.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was a great spot. That place, unfortunately, gone too now, so we don't have much of a shop in town anymore.
Most of the good little shops nowadays, unfortunately. So we really don't have that. In fact, I'm in the market for some skis right now.
Yeah.
Because I can't pull that move anymore. They have demos up at China Peak where we go. And speaking of China Peak, that's kind of your next place of employment after
we're
Bauer,
going through
right?
history of Brian Furrow here. Yeah, so I ran next. I actually got what at the time I thought was my dream job, right? So I got one of like 10 or 15 full-time positions at the local ski resort. So working summer through. I was assistant marketing director. I focused a lot on youth. So for a while, I ran the park crew there. So building the terrain parks in the winter. In the summer, we did mountain biking. So I was doing that actually before I came here, right before.
Yeah. Well, and it was pretty gnarly. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but there was, I'll let you.
Oh, the snowcat?
The snowcat.
Yeah, so I have a crazy story because I worked on and off for the ski resort a couple times actually. And so earlier when I was working for them, I was involved in a snowcat accident. I was managing the terrain park. We're out at night. We're building features in the terrain park. If you know what a terrain park is, it's jumps and rails and basically you see a lot in the videos and really popular at that time. But I had a crew of guys, 2 guys in a cat, several guys on the ground, and we had a communication failure with our walkie-talkies. And so we're out there at night building stuff. And long story short, it was a miscommunication, but I ended up getting actually run over by a snowcat. I was put myself in a position, thought I had been seen by the guy running the cat, waved my hand at him. Apparently he had not seen me. So I get fully run over by this cat, and crazy. I mean,
you're talking like the snow. I mean, we're like the snow plow, like that.
Yeah, it's
how much is it?
They're thousands of pounds. It's like a bulldozer
tons.
on snow, basically, and they have tracks with these huge spikes in them, and so he runs me completely. I'm strapped into his snowboard at the time, and so I see him coming, realize he doesn't see me and isn't going to stop and try to get out of the way, but I'm strapped in a flat spot, and so I try to scoot, and he turns as I scoot, of course, right? Hits me, runs me completely over, and I thought I was dead. The immediate thoughts were like, I had the whole, like, man, my mom's going to be bummed, right? The whole thing flashed through your head.
So gnarly.
And I come out and people always ask me, like, boy, were you mad? Were you angry? I'm like, dude, the first thing I thought after was this incredible euphoria, like, I'm alive. Oh, I get up. I'm like this. I'm like, I made it, right? And my eye's bleeding like crazy. Like, I thought my eye had come out of I lost the sight in my right eye. And I cut in a couple places, and I broke this arm real bad. I got 4 plates in this arm. But I made it. Like, I was fine. I mean, I lived, right?
Yeah, you made it.
And so this credible euphoria, like, I'm alive. This is amazing, right? Like, it was weirdest feeling. Not what you would think would happen at that time. So then, I get helicoptered down and go through a bunch of surgeries, but I'm good.
Yeah, I went into the hospital, and I mean, you were swollen. I mean, it was just like you didn't even look like yourself. It was so gnarly. I can't stress.
Yeah, that kind of trauma is weird. You don't realize. Like, I couldn't move. Like, the next day, it wasn't that I had broken bones and stuff, but like I physically couldn't get up. My whole body was so like the muscles were so stressed. It was weird. It took me like 3 days before I could like get up and walk.
Dude, yeah.
And like I had I don't know if you saw my keys.
Oh, the keys. I was gonna bring that up.
It's like keys in my pocket, and like some of the keys were fine. Some of the keys were bent like this, like 90 degrees,
just like
a hook.
Mangled.
And it just weird. Like, I don't know how that happened. And like my cell phone survived, but my keys were destroyed, and they're all in my pockets and my pants and stuff. It was odd. Yeah.
That was a wild one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
That is for sure. Someone's watching out for me for sure.
Yeah. But and so China Peak though is awesome mountain.
Yeah.
It's our local mountain. It's from our door here at Field Van, hour and a half if it's not
hour and a half
weather.
on a pow day.
Yeah.
Hour 10 on a dry
hour
day.
10 on a dry day up to the mountain. So we're real fortunate to have something so close. And Brian was working there, and we would definitely get some runs in, make some turns.
Yeah.
And then, I kind of lost. I hadn't seen you in years, right?
Yeah, we kind of social media or something, but
right.
we hadn't hung out in a while.
It was everyone was kind of doing their thing, and I was really busy here at the shop working, and went down to have a beer at the local pub, and it's called Sequoia, and a great little spot here. They brew their own beer, kind of one of the earlier microbrew type spots here in the valley.
Yep.
And they have a Pray for Snow party. And years ago, here, we're in California, and you'd forget it today with all the rain and snow we've been getting.
Yeah.
But we've had some years where
it's been rough.
Snow hasn't been so good. And it was kind of a promotional thing for the mountain and cross branding with the pub brewery and the Pray for Snow party.
Yeah, and I was so at the time I'm working events for the ski resort, so I was running the Pray for Snow party, and it's become an annual thing. In November, we get together, pick up your season pass, just get the locals together, have a good time, have a beer, and
do some raffles and some giveaways.
Yeah, get stoked for the ski season, right?
Yeah, it's a fun event. They still do it.
Still do it.
I went this last one. It was cool. Yeah, it was packed.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, they do a sale and raffle, and it was good stuff.
Yeah.
So I see Brian there, and at that time, the van world was getting bigger, and we were expanding. We were trying to grow, and I needed an amazing sales guy. I really needed someone awesome, and I see Brian at the Pray for Snow party, and I know he's working for China Peak, but I'm like, dude, this guy would be awesome. Outdoors, everything we've talked about. So I'm like, so Brian, you don't have to pray for roads or camping. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, vans are always good to go, man. Doesn't matter the weather.
Yeah.
And I kind of pitched him the idea of coming and joining our team and becoming part of the sales team for Sportsmobile West at the time.
Yeah, couldn't have worked out better. I was actually, like I said, I thought I had my dream job with the ski resort, but there's some downsides to it. We had gone through 2 drought years, so we had a period of layoffs where they just lay everybody off for a while and you're on unemployment, which is not awesome, but nature of the beast in that industry.
Yeah.
Also, I was single before that, being married and now having kids. Working events, you work every holiday, every weekend. Nice to have a little bit, just evolving into a different schedule and still be able to have my foot in the outdoors with the van life. Just amazing to be part of. Outdoor individuals, and the products really speaks to that industry still. So, it worked out incredibly well.
Yeah, I scored. But I remember when Freddie's like, oh, I'm like the full-time employee. This is my dream job. And it took a little convincing.
Yeah.
But eventually we got him over here, and it's been great. And our customers love Brian. And talk to us a little bit about it's a big learning curve. So you come from sporting goods and ski resorts and promotions and marketing into vehicles, RVs. You're building a house in these things. So all the components, it's a big learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. To be an effective sales guy here, you have to know design, you have to know somewhat manufacturing. We have a team of experts, thankfully.
Yeah. Right.
So coming in here, I would go out and talk to, Bernie and Juan, our production manager, our systems manager, our engineer, and they would give me knowledge as I went along. But it takes a year to where you feel really comfortable knowing these in and out enough to really talk through people through a sale and, really know your stuff.
So we're not just selling things that are just built on a lot. And it's like, hey, how can I get you to drive away in something today?
Yeah.
No, it's not. We have to develop long-standing relationships with our customers, and you have to be a guide. A lot of people are coming to you saying, hey, I know I want a van. I know I want to go camping. Help me,
Yeah, and most of our customers, they become friends. You're talking, it's a long process. Sometimes it takes, depending where we're at in the schedule, 6 months up to 1.5 years, 2 years even.
Yep.
Right? So we're talking to you for a long time. We want to make sure, and our whole goal is to get everybody their dream van, right? Within reason. There's some crazy dreams out there. But we want to make the dream van is the goal, and you got to really get to know that person a little bit to achieve that. So,
it's so for someone who comes in and they're like, where do I start? We hear that a lot. Where do I even get started? What would you tell someone who is thinking about getting into the van world, maybe seen it on Instagram, but just doesn't know exactly what to do?
Yeah, well, a van's for everybody. If you're into the outdoors at all, if you're into traveling at all, a van is amazing. I mean, I've owned a van. We use the vans all the time. Usually you want to start, I started getting to know the person. What's your needs? What do you do, right? Are you a mountain biker? Are you a climber? Are you a surfer? Are you skiing? Do you have kids? Do you have family that's going to go with you? I mean, that's basics, is figuring out who's going to use it. How many seats and beds do you need? What gear do you need to store? Are there certain places you like to go and travel? Are you a winter guy? Are you a summer person? Getting the basics is the start.
Yeah.
Right. And then really we dive in from there and start dialing in, littler details, battery systems, that kind of thing. Do you have dogs that you need to keep in the van? Air conditioning, all of that. So it's a pretty detailed process. It takes a while.
Yeah, I think the real answer to that question then would be like, see an expert.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. See an expert. Yeah.
Talk to someone who's done it before.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same for everyone. You have someone who's like, well, I saw these guys on YouTube, and it's like, well, yeah, that was a single guy traveling, and now you have a family, you have a dog, and you like to do something. You surf. You go to the beach.
Yeah.
This guy's in the mountain. It varies. Like, what the perfect thing isn't perfect for everybody.
Exactly.
Right?
I joke about that a little bit. Like I said, there is no perfect van. There's a perfect van for you, right? Because we get the big companies that try to make one model for everyone. It doesn't work. It works for a small amount of people.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here. I mean, we make it perfect for you. And one of the challenges is the guide. I mean, even with us, we camp. We have a certain style of what we want in a van, how we use it. Even ours is slightly different.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you usually are now with the girls and everything. You're doing the bathroom van.
Right.
My wife would love a bathroom van, but I have 2 boys, and I make them, not to be crude, but make them pee outside, and we're good, right? So it's different for everybody, and not putting yourself in that position is another challenge, right? Like, what's great for me doesn't mean it's gonna be great for you. I need to find out about you and guide you towards the van that's gonna work for you the best.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of being that guide.
Yeah. And so that process, when I was selling vans, and that's how I started. I was a sales manager here at one point too.
Yeah.
And it was the main question was, what's the most important feature, right? And usually it's like a bed, right? Or it could be a bathroom, it could be a bed, or storage space for a certain type of specialized equipment or gear.
Yep.
And then you kind of want to start there and then plan the rest of the van around that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times for me, it's starting. Do we want a built-in bathroom? Is a big one because it's a big dedication of space. There's plans that lend themselves well to that, and there's some that don't. Yeah. And even lately, even with COVID, it's become more of a thing. Starting to get out of that now, thankfully, a little bit.
Geez.
But for a while there, it was, I don't want to use a public restroom. Like, that becomes a bigger deal. So I mean, it's really important. Again, just customizing for the person, figuring out their needs. Yeah.
And the other thing I would notice is some people would want to be ready for everything, and we all want to be ready for everything, right? But you're building this van, and so we're in this van and be like, okay, yeah, we've got everything dialed in, but what if I have like my nieces and nephews and grandma on a trip, and then we were planning on being outside, and then the tent blew away, and then everyone had to, and you're just like, all right, that one, deal with it. Go get a hotel or something if that crazy event happens. But we don't want to change like the key elements of your van, the things that you're going to use this thing 98% of the time.
Yep.
Let's design it around that. And then those one-off, we'll deal with that.
Absolutely. I mean, there's 2 things we talk about there, the 95% rule, right? 95% of the time, what are you going to do? Plan for that, right?
Yeah.
Even sometimes maybe it's 90 or 80% of the time. The other analogy I like to use is the Swiss Army knife, right? Swiss Army knife's got your magnifying glass, it's got your nail file, it's ready to go, it's got all the stuff, but it's a really crappy knife, so it doesn't do the main job well. So that's really about honing in and focusing on doing what you need it to do most of the time and primarily. Yeah. And a lot of times simplicity is the best, right? The simpler builds tend to be more functional. When you try to cram every option in this small finite space, you end up feeling claustrophobic. Like the van we're sitting in, right? Summit S2, where there's 4 of us and you can't see the other 2 filmers, but we're really comfortable sitting in this van, right? In a van that has aisleway and bathroom, and that's great for some people, but you're not able to hang out in there and be comfortable.
And we still have tons of storage. We have a kitchen in here. It sleeps 4.
Yeah.
It could seat up to 6. So it still checks a lot of the boxes, but having that open feel. And
I'm partial to it because this was my van's plan. Yeah.
We call it the Furrow 50.
Yeah. It's like we used to. Yeah.
Now we call it the full couch S1. And we were out at an event, and it started getting freezing, windy, and what we had like 7 of us in this thing hanging out.
And the ice chest in the entryway.
Yeah, that was a little seat.
We all hung out. We were able to have a beer and talk and turn the heater on, and
it was
a little rap session, and it's fun. Yeah,
it was a good time. Yeah, so this van, this is the van you owned.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that. So you and your wife bought a van.
So we bought a van. We rented it part-time to kind of offset the cost. We kind of dabbled in that. It was an amazing experience, especially as a salesperson and a project manager and now a sales manager, figuring out little things that you really want to dial into the van. We changed a few things after me owning a van, right? I mean, we added some mesh pockets to the back and just different lighting and realizing that the little details matter, right? The stuff you don't think about when someone's in a van, if they don't say anything about it, it means you did your job right. Like no one's going to complain that there's no pocket on the back, but if I have a place to put my book, my bottle of water, it's
cell
awesome.
Phone with your USB.
Yeah, USB, plug that in. Like that's just having that modern convenience is great. And really dialing things in, and also realizing, this is an RV, but it's an off-road RV. I mean, you're in off-road world, if we're talking about Jeeps and things like that, like those guys go out knowing they are going to break stuff, right? It's a similar thing. You made this up. I got this from you, but it's a tiny house that has an earthquake every day.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to build it.
Earthquake.
Yeah. Build it accordingly and know that eventually you may rattle something, something may happen. All that is fixable, repairable, right? We're here to do that. That's a key for us is we're around. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Right? We have a 5-year unlimited mile warranty.
Yeah.
We've been around over 30 years.
Yep.
We have a couple locations, but you can also get your van serviced wherever you might be. You live, you're on your adventure. So,
Yeah.
And so owning that van, what were the favorite aspects of your van on a family trip? Let's say because you have 2 boys, your wife and 2 boys, and they're both, kindergarten, first grade?
Yeah, now, just almost kindergarten and first grade. Yeah, 4 and 6. So, it's amazing how much we use the van as a family. I was thinking for sure trips and things like that, but we started using it like, we're going to go to grandma's house. It's half an hour away. Hop in the van, right? The kids love the van. So my oldest called it the daddy van, right? Because dad brought it home or whatever, and I work here. But now he calls every Sprinter daddy. Like, oh, there's a daddy van. He sees a Sprinter go by, right? But no, it opened up a ton of stuff for us as a family. What really amazed me, because we were tent campers and we'd always go in the summer, but shoulder season and winter camping in a van is absolutely amazing. I mean, you go out to Yosemite middle of winter, like with a 1 and the 3-year-old, I probably wouldn't camp in a tent in Yosemite. I mean, there's people that do, but I'm not that hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But with a van with a heater in it and a comfortable space to retreat to, 100%.
Yeah.
It's amazing to go out to those places where no one's out there. You're out there in the winter and there's a handful of people because the elements are too harsh, but you have this home there. You have your mobile cabin.
Yeah.
Right? And so
and you're not towing a trailer through like the sketchy passes.
Yeah.
Big motor home. And you still have, especially with the pop top and that tent feel, it still feels like you're camping.
It still feels like you're camping, but you have great amenities. And and 4-wheel drive. I mean, the van's being so capable. Yeah, you have snowstorm, no big deal. Like we're there. Yeah. I take mine to the snow all the time. It's an amazing snow vehicle. Yeah.
We really got into the desert camping in the winter.
Yeah.
And I'm actually headed out there as soon as we're done here.
Nice.
And I'm going to head out there, and it gets cold at night. It's going to be low 26. But we got the heater in the van. You're hanging at the campfire.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, it opens up a whole seasons and places that we wouldn't have done otherwise, and really making those family memories is awesome. Kids remember all those trips in the van and loving it. And we sold our van, but I still use some of the vans now. Yeah. We demo a lot of our product, make sure it works well. And we have demo vans for that purpose. So somebody's got to demo the vans, right?
Some testing.
Got to do it. Got to test.
Research and development. Brian also dabbles.
Yeah, got to dabble in some research and development there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's amazing. I mean, taking the kids out and the family, it's I couldn't be better for family trips. I mean, it's awesome. Yeah.
So talk to me. You also have like some boys trips. You got like the dudes and your friends, and
so we joke about this when I call that. We did a trip. I did 10 days. We did Canada and back in the winter, January, right? Actually, right before COVID hit. To go ski the Powder Highway, which was amazing in the van. And we called it technically at the time we didn't have a plan. We called it the Full Freedom Trip. We were joking with each other. We'd like, as we're planning this trip, my buddy's texting me a picture of Braveheart, like freedom,
Well, it's because we have jobs and we
Yeah,
have families,
yeah.
and like usually you don't have the time or the capabilities just to be like, hey, I'm gonna go. So I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, well, that was the
And-
point of this. Is we had a time period. We had really 11 days, and we purposely said, okay, we're not gonna plan anything until the day before. We're gonna go wherever the powder is. If there's storms in Oregon, we're going to Oregon. If it's Montana, we're going to Montana. Wherever it is, so it's just full freedom and just kind of see what happens. And the van opens that up, right? Because we can. I mean, it's not glorious, but one night we stayed in a Flying J parking lot. We drove till midnight.
Done it.
We have a destination. Pull over, great. One,
I
we don't
liked
have
it.
to have a reservation anywhere.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We stayed in a snow park one time. We did a lot of resort, parking lots, which was amazing.
Yeah, right there at the mountain.
Yeah, there's
right?
tons of resorts.
yeah.
Some of the bigger Tahoe ones are cracking down a little bit, but all your mom and pop resorts and all the ones up on the Powder Highway were super friendly to vans.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's $15 and stay the night. Sometimes they didn't care at all.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Hey, you're buying a lift ticket.
Yeah,
Those aren't
yeah.
cheap these
You're
days,
buying a
so-
lift ticket. You're going to go buy lunch and a beer, and they're happy to have you. So
Yeah.
the van makes that kind of a trip. That's my favorite trip, right? Really loose plan. Like we're going to go north and ski, but we'll see what happens along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. We even found a resort on the way back. We had gone over to Oregon. We stayed in a parking lot at Mount Hood, and it rained. So we wake up in the morning. There's a river going in the van. We're like, well, this is not ideal conditions, right? So we start heading back, a little bit bummed because we didn't get that last day of riding in. And on the way, we see a billboard for Hoodoo, which is this resort in Oregon. And we look it up real quick, and they have night riding. We're like, Hoodoo it is. Our detour. We're just on a whim, and it was awesome. It was amazing night riding,
It's
little
night
mom and pop
riding?
resort. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They had because they do night riding, their lodge and their bathrooms and showers are open till 10 o'clock. So we went riding, had a shower, stayed in the van in the parking lot, and didn't even know this
epic.
resort existed, except that we're traveling and saw a billboard. It was awesome. Yeah.
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 Those are the best when
Oh,
just
it's-
last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the van makes that happen. That's the beauty of that. Like you can't do that if you're tent camping or trying to find a hotel last
Right.
minute or
Yeah, hotel
right?
res. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Pow day right at the resort. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
last minute reservation.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And then some of the other things we like to do at the vans are these expos.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So we have the Overland Expo. Just in the last 3-4 years, the Adventure Van Expos.
Yep.
And also, you did an event with Bill Burke, which is pretty kind of a training. Why don't you talk about that one a little bit?
Oh, that was amazing. So actually, Johnny's dad, Alan, took us, and we went out in Onzabrego Desert.
Yep.
Bill Burke is an ex-Marine recovery specialist. So he's the guy who used to go, they get the Abrams tank stuck, and he goes and recovers it. So he's a character anyway, right? I mean, this guy's a little gnarly, a little foul mouth, but awesome guy, right? Just will tell you the stories, tell you how it is. So we go in the desert, and he would purposely get the van stuck so that we could recover them. Use the max tracks, use winches, pole pals,
Yep.
and in the middle of that do training. But the way he did it is awesome because he wouldn't tell you he was going to get you stuck. Right? He had this tiny little really light Land Rover that could do all kinds of stuff, and he'd take some of the big heavy vans and he'd like jump over a sand berm and just follow me, and the van would go and get stuck at the top. Right? And he knew it was going to happen. And so, I remember the people that got stuck, they couldn't even get out the side doors because the sand was so deep. They had to, bail out the back. But and it was fun though. We had an absolute blast doing that event. I'd recommend that to anybody if you can. It's
Yeah.
camping in the Onzabrego Desert and the camaraderie of that, and then also really knowledgeable guy firsthand teaching us how to recover these vans and how to use the equipment.
Yeah. Bill Burke is one name. There are a number of guys out there that do the overland training, and
Yeah.
then you can also get some of that at the Overland Expo. They do have courses out there. They there's a lot to learn by doing some of these shows and attending these expos, and it could be everything from recovery or gourmet cooking out in the middle of nowhere. You know, they have a lot of cool things at the Overland Expos and Venture Van Expos, and
I don't know if story's been told, but the Overland Expo started from what at the time was our rallies, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So
the training rallies back in the day. We used to do these rallies to get people up to know how to recover their van if they get stuck. And we'd have expert speakers about traveling in Baja, or what else did we have? Winching techniques. I think we talked about that. A lot of recovery stuff. breaking into a van. Like, if you ever locked your keys in your van, like we'd show people a way to break into your van to get in there. This is back in the day before all the keyless stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to know all this stuff. If you're stranded out in the middle of nowhere and you got your keys locked, you don't have to bust a window. So I want to have some tips and tricks, and it's good to learn all that stuff. When you're going through the process of camping and owning a vehicle like this.
Well, wasn't it that back then you guys were going to take a year off because it got really big, right? I mean, it's a couple hundred vans and lots of planning, and the guys from Overland Journal decided they were going to start an expo, right?
That's right. Yeah. And that was great for us because it was like So we'll bring all our guys there and join the expo. And to this day, so we go to Flagstaff is our big event with Field Van. We call it the Field of Dreams. And what do we have? 50 vans camping with us typically?
Easily, 50 or 60 vans last year, I think. Yeah. Usually pretty normal to have that many out.
They give us, and we have a couple of acres is our booth, right?
Yeah.
And we invite our customers and field van owners to come stay with us on site. They can participate in all the events of the Overland Expo. But we really have the most fun. We're out there kind of during the day displaying the vans and working a bit. But then as soon as 5 o'clock and happy hour hits, we bring our chef, Big Matt. I saw he just actually walked in the building here.
Nice.
And we bring Big Matt out, and we bring smokers, and we're doing, he did ribs last year and carnitas.
And, we do it up. Up proper.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And then we have live music for E&O. They show up, and it's really, the camaraderie. And then our owners get to meet other like-minded individuals, of course, people out at this expo, and then other owners of vans, so they oftentimes will link up or go on trips together, or maybe tips and tricks of places to visit, or some special gear they have. I remember last year we had two guys who were kind of in a gear battle. It was Eric and Adam, right?
Who could outdo each other with the newest, awesomest piece of gear, right?
Yeah, this guy had the new e-bike, and he had the new e-bike too, and then they had these new crazy lights, and then the cool fire pits, and it was just like unloading out of the vans, like, oh, you got a fire pit? I got a fire pit. Or you got a light? I got a light. And then finally it came down to one dude had what is it? Playoff? No, it was beginning of baseball season. Yeah, 'cause it's in May. So he's a Dodger. He has a Dodger game on out there, and we're just like, okay. The other dude's like, I got you.
Yeah, he had a suction cup TV, right?
Yeah, suction cup TV.
TV to suction cup to the side of his van.
Yeah, it was rad. And he had satellite and everything.
Yeah.
But then Eric pulls out, it was like a big screen
inflatable.
It was like an inflatable movie screen and a projector, and he's got Starlink, of course, on his van. And he's like, what movie do you want? I think we watched Dumb and Dumber or something. He's like, Adam waves the white flag out his van. I was finally, okay, that's it. But we had such a good time at that. That was at the last expo.
Yeah, but those expos in general are just a blast. If you've never, I highly recommend going to an Overland Expo if you haven't. It's a great time. Just every piece of equipment that goes off road is there.
Yeah.
Right, anything you could ever want.
Yeah.
What's amazing to me, what is it, 30 or 40,000 people this last year, and that started from you guys sponsoring the first one with a couple hundred people in a field.
Yeah.
Right, and this industry has now grown to that. It's like one of the biggest expos of that kind for that industry in the world.
It's really blown up.
Yeah.
In fact, they just sold to the guy who does outdoor retailer.
Yeah.
So the people who run outdoor retailer now bought Overland Expos, have been sold now 3 times. Yeah, it's just this massive event. And then some of the smaller events are the Adventure Van Expo. We used to do an RV show in Pomona. We're doing another adventure show in Pomona this year.
Yep.
We really signed up for that because of Montana's.
There's an amazing country bar called Montana's.
I don't even like country music. It's not my thing. We were at a sports bar. They have a sports bar right near the hotel. So we finished up the show, and I'm at a sports bar, and see all these people walking by in cowboy hats, and a lot of pretty girls walking by in all their Western get-up. This is 15, 20 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
And guy tells me, I was like, what's up with all the cowboy hats? And he's like, oh, they're going to Montana's.
Yeah.
Like, Montana's. And he's like, oh yeah, it's upstairs. And, if I were you, I would go check it out. And I was like, all right. So I head up there, and it is full-on line dancing bar. I've never seen anything like it. So I grab a drink at the bar, I go, and I'm like watching. And the guy, like the announcer, he's like, all right, we got I don't know what he called it, the bebop beedly doo, and it's the expert level only, and so only experts on the dance floor. And I'm like, experts? I'm like, wait, expert line? And sure enough, these guys clear off, and these dudes hop up, and they get out there, and they're ready, and the song starts, and in sync, this line dancing. Maybe you're familiar with line. I had never seen anything like it. I was like, dude, this is I'm laughing. I'm like, it's all I'm thinking to myself. I was like, these people these dudes have to come practice this at some point.
It's real deal.
So that's all. I'm just laughing. I look at the guy next to me. I don't know anyone there. I was by myself that time when I discovered Montana's.
Yeah.
And I like nudged the guy. I was like, dude, can you believe this? And he was like, he's like watching. I'm like, I'm the only one here that thinks this is funny.
Yeah.
But now it's become a staple. So I told these guys about Montana's.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good spot. We joke about that because we go to the LA show and the show's the focus, but like whenever we bring it up, we're like, oh, Montana's, right? Because it's become a tradition.
Gotta go to Montana.
You gotta have your show traditions. Right. We also do Overland Expo. We usually hit Laughlin on the way. We've just been a tradition of ours. We meet up with customers. Before we go camp for a while, we do one last like hotel night.
One last shower before we go.
Yeah, have a little fun at the craps table and then
dice maybe.
Then get after it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the after and before traditions of these trips are as fun as the trip sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah.
But we learned we got to be careful at We overdid it one year at Montana's. And we get to the RV show in Pomona, and we're hurting. I mean, it was brutal. Like we got some bagel sandwiches, couldn't even choke them down. I mean, it was just
a few too many beverages the night before.
And so we're there, and our booth was always one of the most. It was the RVIA show, and so it's a lot of big motorhomes and trailers. But then we have our Ford 4x4 classic pop tops. We have our Sprinter vans and really more of the eye-catching stuff at the show.
Well, and really unique at that show because we're
off-road.
We're a whole different market. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was different. So we're sitting there, and our booth's packed. We have people everywhere. And
first thing in the morning, we're a little bit hungover, to be honest.
A little bit, dude. I mean, we were looking at each other. I mean, to be honest,
we were not in our prime shape.
Just trying to blow out the fumes.
Yeah. Hoping that everyone comes in an hour late that day.
Yeah.
We were absolutely packed.
Slammed right from the get-go.
Yep.
And I remember a guy comes up and he's like, hey, you guys.
You got to be stoked. You got the busiest booth in this place. Yes. We're stoked. Yeah, it's amazing. But we really, it's having that unique product is pretty cool. Yeah. Being at that show and not having a big motorhome or a big trailer, really did set us apart.
Well, the shows have changed a lot. The Adventure Van Expos now are van focused. It's just
let's talk about the Adventure Van Expos. We have our first one coming up in April? Oh, right? Yeah, San Juan Capistrano, and then
they do them all over the country now. So, we go up Oregon. They got them in Colorado. Couple in California.
Yeah, we're doing several California.
We're
gonna do this year. We maybe do Hood River. I'm not sure where there's.
Yeah, they got Chattanooga. Yeah, there's a bunch. Anyway, awesome Adventure Van. Neil over there at the Adventure Van Expo. Hope to have him on the podcast one of these days and talk about how that all got started. But it's a neat community. So you can go up, you can camp on site at a lot of these places, and now tons of van builders. And you can really see what we're doing, some of our new models here at Field Van, and then see what other people in the industry have going on, whether it be other van builders or suppliers, guys like Illuminess and Owl Van and Quigley, and a lot of the good suppliers that we work with, the Elwell guys go, and the Expion 360, and so guys that build our batteries and our furnace systems. So you can not only learn about like the van as a whole, but you can talk to these experts that actually build the components that go into these vans.
Yeah, it's really neat to see that evolution too. I mean, even I've been here 10 years, and when I started, we were the van company at the show, right? You wanted to see vans, you go see at the time Sportsmanville West, right? And now there's entire shows dedicated to just vans, right? And so but it's been really neat. It's really pushed the industry. We step our game up along with just seeing what other people are doing too, which has been kind of awesome. And then building that van life community too. I mean, there's now kind of this community of people that all. They go to these shows, and yes, we're competitors, but we all know each other. We all have a good time and share things and talk about parts. And
it is cool. Yeah, it's a real great community of people.
Yeah.
And one common goal is adventure.
Yeah.
And so everyone's kind of like-minded, and we like all the builders really out there. The end goal is we want our customers to be out there enjoying their van.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
It's fun too because in vans especially, adventure is the key. But adventure means different things to different people, right? Like adventure for some people can be I'm traveling across the country and hitting wineries or going to baseball games, or right?
Yeah.
For other people, you got to get
a great
out there
adventure.
and climb rocks and ski and do gnarly stuff, right? But they're
And everything in between.
everything in between, yeah. And really, I mean, I was talking to one of the guys that does different podcasts on this. As you get older too, it's become all of that, right?
true.
So when I was younger, it's like, oh, it has to be the most extreme thing. And now it's like, I have the kids. It's going and camping at a campground for them is a great adventure.
Yeah.
Right? We're camping and we're outside. It doesn't.
You
have
might be
to,
at a campground in Yosemite, and you do some hikes and you see the sights and do a little fishing, and that's an awesome adventure.
It's
for the kid.
amazing when you're 4 and 6, right?
Well, and seeing it through their eyes. So it's good for you too. Yeah,
absolutely.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So it's kind of come full circle.
Yeah, and then mentioning, so you bring up, we have all these van builders, right? It started off where it was like we were the van builder, and now, van life got so popular that a lot of people wanted to tap into this. What sets, in your mind, what sets Field Van apart from all the other van builders out there?
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, our culture, I mean, we have been here, I mean, with your dad's kind of starting this thing. We've been around since the start. From just a sales standpoint, I mean, our warranty, the fact that we're RVIA approved, everything is safety codes, and a lot of our competitors aren't that at all. The knowledge. I mean, we have guys out here. When I came on, I mentioned, it took a long time to learn all this stuff for a reason. There's a lot that goes into building these, and having, we have guys out here that have been here 20 and 25 years and have been doing this, since day one, and seen things break and seen things fail and tried a lot of these things and perfected that. And we kind of have all that in our back pocket. We're not starting from scratch figuring out, is this cabinet going to rattle? It's not going to rattle. If it rattles, it's a warranty, right? We're going to make it not rattle.
Yeah. I don't do rattles.
It
drives me nuts. Yeah.
But I mean, just that background, that knowledge, the warranty, I mean, we have it all. And I like too that you see a lot of these little companies really finding a small niche, right? I'm a moto van outdoor only, or I'm a luxury camper, and we have the ability to do all of that and everything in between, which is to me really amazing, because I think most people fall in between, right? Yeah, I want to do my outdoor sports. I need the garage to carry the gear, but I want to be comfy inside. I want to, I want it to be nice. I want to sit down and relax, and it doesn't have to be hard edged, utility van
and resale value
value is amazing.
That kind of stuff
and
too,
part of that's because we've been building vans to go off road for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. So even people that aren't going to go off road, they know the way that we design and build these vans is tough and lasts the test of time.
Yeah, there's going to stand up to the abuse that naturally your off-road van is going to take.
It's going to take, So I think that keeps resale really high, because you know how it's built, the construction, and you also know that we're going to be here to help you if you need to change something, fix something,
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we talked a lot about the past and current. What about the future? So is there something that you see coming up, or anything like in the van world that gets you excited for, what's to come?
Well, there's all kinds of cool stuff coming. I mean, always new stuff in the future. I get really excited about little things, details. Like we're actually working on a series of vans, the Tide series, which is more modular than some of the stuff we've done in the past. From a design standpoint, I get really excited about that. I like versions of the traditional, we call a Summit 1 plan. My own van, my own personal van. I design vans for a living. Mine was like a small take on that traditional plan, because it works really well. But we've made some different versions of that plan with platform beds and combine into bigger vans that are really cool. Like have that open space feel, but then also have the gear storage, like the Summit S2. Yeah. The new one we're working on is an S4.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, you think we've built thousands of vans, right? And you think we've done it every which way possible, and there's no way we could figure out another way to kind of configure an interior. Yeah. But we still are coming up with
I still get
cool
excited
new configurations.
About it.
Yeah, me too.
It's funny, like I still get out there and this could work great. And I'm still, I'm always planning my next van, and how can we push that boundary, and how can we make that layout work better? And I get customers that they probably think I'm giving them a line, but I'm like, this is amazing. Like I'm getting fired up for them to go out and camp in this awesome design, It's fun. Yeah, and I think
it's exciting.
I think we're going to continue to push that, and there's new products that come out that help with that.
That's what I get excited about too. It's like not only the innovations that we're doing here in house, which we're always doing, but man, there's stuff out there that we've never even thought of, right? That people come up with. My dad was just at the SHOT Show in Vegas, and a guy came up with a headrest for the van, and it has a safe, like for a gun safe or whatever, your wallet right there in the head. I mean, what a cool use of space, and easily accessible, and So stuff like that.
That's literally today.
Today
That we found that out. Yeah, I mean,
so he's like, dude, I found this new thing. I'm so excited. And so we have some on order, and we're excited to integrate a lot of these new and innovative products into our vans. And
one thing about that, you would think you wouldn't want the competition of like van life blowing up, but in some ways it's helped us a lot because we get ideas and more products, and like I get excited. There's new seats out that can slide forward and back and change position, and how can we incorporate that into plans we do? And
the more people building vans, the more products that are going to become available for these van builders. And the more engineering and time and money goes into making these vans better, and we can tap into all that.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're passionate about it. We're van enthusiasts, right? We want to see vans continue and survive and get better and better, and it's fun to be at the forefront of that.
At the forefront and seeing, and you're right. It drives quality, and it drives innovation.
Absolutely.
Having all the people coming in. So
so
definitely. So a couple other questions, like if you are going on a camping trip, what is a piece of gear or equipment or something that you just can't leave home without?
Well,
I know you do rafting and you do all those things, but like, is there one thing, like no matter what trip you're going on, that
I don't know if it's so much a piece of gear, but one thing we were joking about, my wife and I, because we're talking about getting another van, like what's the absolute bare necessities of a van. What's funny about it for me, it's a comfortable bed and a heater. Right. If I have those two things, I'm good. Right. The heater is actually, it's funny enough, but that's key because it, like we were talking about before, expands your whole camping thing. Right. So that's kind of a essential piece of gear for me. I mean, there's little pieces of gear I like for certain things. I've really got into the stoves that your dad uses. So it's funny, I'm being a gear guy. I worked at a sporting goods store. I come here, I have 5 camping stoves, right? Ridiculous, $200 Camp Chef, the whole deal. I come here and his dad's using this like $30, butane cartridge stove. I'm like, why in the world is the owner of Sportsman, using this? He's like, it works great. It's light, works at high elevation, and he's right. Like I bought to him. That's my stove now, right? So that's a good one if you're talking about gear. And there's a couple particular, like, I really like the roller tables because I come from a rafting background, right? I use those a ton. But I think for van wise, heater and comfortable bed. Heater and comfortable bed, you go everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. I think one piece of equipment I would always want to, and this is more not so much camping but off-roading, is Max Tracks. That's something that, if I'm going on a trip and we know that we're going to be off-road, we might hit some sand, mud, snow, having those Max Tracks gives me that sense of security that I'm not going to get stuck.
Well, it's funny, we did a video on Max Tracks. I don't even know if it's on the YouTube.
Oh yeah, it's up there.
Right. So we go out on this beach camping trip and we're driving the Classic, the biggest, baddest van we make, and we actually got it stuck, right? I mean, it wasn't like we're playing that, but when we got it stuck, we're like, great.
Yeah, we
got
hit
Max
a big,
Tracks.
deep, soft pile of sand.
Let's film a video, right? I thought that was hilarious though,
but having them is key.
Absolutely.
I mean, it got us. There was like this just whole torn up area of beach. Long story short, we got stuck. Our other buddy got stuck with a trailer. Some gals in like this Tacoma. I mean, sick pickup already. Dude, they got stuck.
And we're pulling people out.
We got everyone out with the Max Tracks. And
you've driven vans your whole life. It goes to show, doesn't matter how expert you are, you go out and do these things, it's going to happen, right? You're going to get stuck. You're going to think you're going to
You'll break something. You will get stuck. Yeah, you're going to have problems. Like it's but it's how you prepare for those things is going to...
Well, it makes the best stories.
Yeah, right? It'll determine how fun you have on your trip.
Yeah, when you're telling the story later, if nothing happened, there's no story to tell, right? You have to have some adverse adventures for that to be a cool story. So,
we always appreciate questions, comments, suggestions for our podcast. And shout out to Tyler. Thank you for sliding into our DMs with a little question. And his question was, what is the best van for me if I have a family of 4? Is it the Sprinter? Is it the Transit? The Classic? The ProMaster? So what van is best for me?
Yeah, and it's almost a trick question because there isn't a best van. It's best van for you, right? I actually think for me, right now, Transit and Sprinter are kind of the two, very comparable. Just depends what you want. I mean, the Transit coming, now they're both all-wheel drive, but the Sprinter has a little bit more clearance, a little higher price tag. It just depends what you want to do there. I think that's usually where we start too, right, is what van do you want? A lot of times people have a preference on that, like I'm a Ford guy, or I love or hate Mercedes, or vice versa. But I don't know that there is a best van for you. It's more about finding the van that fits your budget, fits what you like, what you're going to do as far as all-wheel drive and clearance, right? Those are the two big ones. And then figuring out the plan that works in that. Sometimes it's height. Like Transit comes in different heights than a Sprinter does, and so there's really a market for that medium height, versus which is a little bit taller inside and still put a pop top on versus a Sprinter.
Yeah.
So it's finding out more about, again, starting from that point of what do you do, who are you taking with you, what's important to you, and then fitting the van to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I echo the sentiments. I mean, that's the best answer. Is it all depends.
Yeah.
Like my dad, he's got to have the classic.
Yeah.
He's got to have the 4x4. He's got to have that Ford with the big motor.
Yep.
And that's
Well,
his
your
deal.
dad pushes it. He takes it off road into some gnarly places.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right?
they really take it to the level that the Mercedes or the Ford Transit just wouldn't be able to go.
No, and that's what that van's for, right? For me,
Yeah.
it's funny for me, growing up, knowing you for a long time and knowing about sportsmobiles, I always thought I would own a Ford.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to get an Econoline. That's the dream, right? When it came time to actually do it, I'm in a Sprinter 4x4 because it fit my family better. It had more space inside, better gas mileage, easier to drive on the highway.
Yeah.
It just
It's comfortable.
and it was awesome. It
Checks
worked
a lot
great.
of boxes.
Yeah. But it was not what I would have pictured myself in. But I basically salesman myself, right? I had to ask myself, what are you really going to do with this thing? Like, do you really need a Ford? Like, you don't. I'm going to trailheads. I'm going to the snow.
Yeah.
And I have 2 little kids. So
I think the right answer is you should buy one of each.
Yeah.
Just give us a call and we'll have it ready to go.
yeah, you got to have your quiver of vans. We have those
quiver of
people.
boards. We do have those people.
Yeah.
Working with one right now.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with
I think
that.
he's building his 10th van and he hasn't even sold one of them yet.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
collection.
that's the way to go if you can do it. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, thanks for stopping into the podcast. Really enjoyed hearing all your stories, learning about your background, and you gave some great advice for people that are looking to get into the van world and start the process.
Yeah, always good talking about vans. Anytime. Yeah. So this is
A little
this is
van
fun.
bro down.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's funny. So I tell customers sometimes, they call me like, "Oh, I don't want to take up too much of your time." I'm like, "I talk about vans. Let's go.
Let's go.
You want to talk about vans? I'm here." Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Well, if you like this podcast, subscribe. You can catch more. Check out our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. You can drop us a DM. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We're at fieldvan.com, and we can't wait to talk more vans.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, get in.
Have a good one.